emotion, oh, never mind. Never mind. You know, that means you're not a very good teacher. You know, if you make your student what you call puzzle, that means you did this one already, cognitive dissonance. What will happen after that? The student himself will go and find out the answer. Okay, I give you an example. This was in kindergarten, classroom kindergarten kids, 5 years old, 6 years old. Okay, so the children at that age, 5 years old, 6 years old, they know about density. Density means how dense the thing is. Children 5 years old, they think big things must float. Big things must float. Small thing will definitely sink in the water. Okay, so that's their preconception. So the teacher said, okay, come kids, sit down. And then she put a big basin of water there. And then she asked one of the children, okay, kids, now what is this? Coconut. Wow, big coconut, huh? Okay. Now, do you think this coconut will float or sink? The children now think, oh, coconut so big, sure will sink. Okay? So the teacher said, okay, come. John, come. Carry this coconut and put it in the water, see whether it will sink or float. Then John put the water on the water. It didn't sink, it float. So John's thinking already muddled up. So he couldn't understand. He pushed the coconut inside the water. He said, you must sink, you must sink. You know what I'm saying? So the teacher succeeded in changing the conception that not all big objects will sink. There are some big objects won't sink. This is one classic example of how a teacher can create a cognitive dissonance and change their wrong conception. Wrong preconception. You know wrong conception? They think that way is wrong. Okay? I want to teach something to show that you are wrong. So can you design something like that when you are teaching? If you are teaching English, geography, mathematics, mathematics also. Okay? They think I can only do this way. The teacher then prove. Not all the time you do this way, you get correct answer, You can get wrong answer if you do like this. Then only the student will cognitive dissonance, and they learn something new after that. They learn that not all big objects will sink. There will be some that will float. See, to create and design an activity like that is a very creative activity now in the classroom. So in my class, when I teach my master's class and undergraduate classes, I tell them, okay, your science, because I have many majors in my classroom. When I teach educational psychology, I got students from TESOL, teaching of English as a second language, science, Islamic studies, all in one classroom. So each of them must think of an activity that they can use, that can create cognitive dissonance. That means change their wrong conception. So that's what they do. So I try to think of it as one of the ways of process of thinking. And creative lecture also. Have you heard of private speech under Vygotsky's theory? Private speech. Now private speech is where the lecturer himself talks to himself when doing something. Or trying to solve the problem. Plus this, why am I getting wrong answer? He talk to himself, asking the students to help. Why am I getting wrong answer here? Please check for me. Sometimes the teacher purposely make mistake. You know what I mean? So they model creative thinking. How else can I solve this problem? Ask the student to help. So model creative thinking. Okay? But sometimes you already know the answer. You purposely pretend you don't know the answer. Okay? So those are thinking processes, and then of course things like real life authentic example, getting the students to go to the like Dr. Dorito's class yesterday I mentioned, get the students to interview teachers because the students are all teacher trainees. Yeah? So get them to interview experienced teachers and ask them what are the issues and problems in the classroom. Yeah? Inquiry-based learning, teaching, meaning that, like for example, in this case, it's a skit. You know, skit role play. Remember sometimes you mention role play? The students are watching a role play, and then how they solve the problem. So this is a skit here. Can also use visual thinking strategies, creative and critical thinking strategies that we discussed just now. Visual thinking. Visual thinking here means relating to showing a video of the problem and ask the students to generate ideas. Yeah, that's visual thinking. Okay, now have you heard of blended learning or flipped learning? Have you heard of flipped learning? This is another method, not the. So this is another creative method. You should call it the flipped learning. In other words, normally in normal classroom, the student comes to classroom, the lecturer teach. Correct? In flipped learning, it's okay. Normal classroom, the lecturer teach, and then the lecturer give homework. Then the student go back home and do the homework there. Now in flipped learning, it's the opposite. The students learn at home. The lecturer tells them, okay, tomorrow for my class, read chapter 3 and try the activities. And then try the activities 1 to 4. Okay? And they come to classroom the next day, they try the activities here, discuss the activity in the classroom, or do the homework here in the classroom. So instead of doing homework in the house, they do the homework here in the classroom with the teacher as facilitator. So the teacher never teach. The students learn on their own at home. That's called flipped learning. Flipped learning. So one of my PhD students is doing that research to see what extent that is workable. Whether really students will learn at home or not. Sometimes they don't learn at home and then come to the classroom and ask them to do, that's when they open the book and learn. The whole purpose is defeated. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to see whether to what extent it works. Okay, so flipped learning is another creative method, but to what extent it will work depends on the students. Correct? Yeah, sometimes they don't do the work. What happens is also now with YouTube, the lecturer uploads the lectures, lecture 1, lecture 2, lecture 3 on YouTube. Right? The students go back and watch the YouTube. So the YouTube is teaching them. And then the YouTube says, try exercise 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then they try and then come to class, they discuss. If they cannot answer, they discuss in the classroom. You know what I mean? So the teacher actually saved voice also, I don't need to teach because it's all on YouTube. Correct? But the student must follow that in their house. Some of them, they don't have time. They do other things. They come to class, they don't need to look at the YouTube. Hence the whole purpose is defeated. Right? So anyway, that's what it means by flipped learning. Yeah? To what extent it works. Blended means they blend ordinary textbook with video together with YouTube. Blended learning. Can happen in the classroom or can happen in the home. Blended. That means I teach a few topics, I go back and refer to YouTube 1, 3, 4. So they go back and listen the rest of it. Okay, that's called blended. Yeah? Okay, so you can see a lot of other examples of teaching in the real world, right? Okay? Where the lecturer asks himself, is this the best way to help them learn? Ask questions like that. Okay? For example, in designing, in manufacturing, yeah? In designing, and then things like that. So you notice a lot of creative teachers tend to have more authentic activities in the classroom, right? Now with technology, teachers are becoming more creative, applying technology in the learning process, right? Okay? So this is a very good way of looking at education. It's not just the textbook, learning facts from the textbook. It's how you use your mind to think. Okay? It's not how much information that you know, memorize. How you use and transfer and generate new knowledge. That is what education is all about. And one more thing, values. Education is about teaching values also. You know values? You know what values are? human values, respect life. Don't go and kick the cat. You know what I'm saying? You know, everyday life, values. Don't throw rubbish. Those are values. Don't lie to your teacher. Don't cheat. So those are human values. You know what I'm saying? Where the education is supposed to do that. Teach them the right values. Respect for others and respect for other people's opinion. Those are values. So that is education is as well. So to what extent the creative teacher include values in the teaching? You know what I mean? Include. And the student learn the values without knowing that they're learning values. Have you heard of that example? Like for example, one teacher talks about maybe Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King. You know, those famous Mother Teresa. You know, their personality, how they solve problems, not like violence and guns, but you know, politely, you know, civil disobedience, you know, calmly solve problems. You know what I'm saying? Teach them that you describe their biography, you discuss that in the classroom, and the students learn, okay, this is the way of life for solving problems, not with guns and bombs. You know what I'm saying? We're teaching indirectly values. Now that's also creative. How you teach values creatively. Visit to the sea, underwater, maintaining marine life, conservation of life, collect rubbish people throw away, try to leave the environment. Those are things that you do and you merge with your learning at the same time. Okay, so that is indirectly you learn the habit. Culture, the culture of saving the environment. Okay, so you build your culture. So that is part of it. Okay, person. Another thing about we talked about. Remember, the lecturer is a creative person. Okay, you notice open-minded, risk-taker, positive attitude, has a passion. Have you seen some of your lecturers are very passionate about their topic? Very active, they spend a lot of time. We had one lecturer very committed in the teaching. Design activities, fantastic. She designed competition, after Chinese will explain to you, she had group stations, and then those who didn't and answered correctly, they get sweets, color sweets or more. Pink color means more points or I don't know, the teacher must be really having a lot of time on her hands. You know, fantastic, yeah? Creative teacher. Then he is friendly, yeah. And so on. And then some teachers, they come to school, they wear t-shirt with the topic they're going to teach. You know, t-shirt, they wear t-shirt, and then whatever they're going to teach is related to the whatever is on the t-shirt. The hair, okay, or whatever. So they are very dedicated, right? Creative teachers are very dedicated. Okay, and then things like when other teachers criticize them, say, okay, never mind, I will still want to do it. They don't care about other criticisms. They are confident of themselves. They also have perceived themselves as creative. After they're going to test and see your creativity. Whether you perceive yourself as creative or not, you have a questionnaire there. Okay? We call it the creative self-perception. So, creative teachers have high level of perception of themselves as creative. Why? Because other teachers tell them, wow, your class is very creative, you know. Your student also say your class is very nice and creative. Oh, okay. So the teacher builds up the perception. Oh, I think everybody's telling that my classes are very unique, very creative. So they perceive themselves as creative. And because they perceive themselves as creative, they also become more creative in future. The classes are more creative. They try to think of new ways. Okay? That's called creative self-perception. And self-perception influence your behavior. You are what you think. Have you heard of this word? You are what you think. If you think you are creative, you are creative. If you think you are not creative, you are not creative. You know what I'm saying? So this saying is called, you are what you eat. The other way people put is, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. You eat a lot of fat, you become fat. But this one, you are what you think. So if you think you are creative, you already won 50% of the battle. Only 50% left. If you think I can solve this problem, you already solved already. 50%. If you say, oh, this is very difficult to solve, you already lost 50%. You know what I'm saying? So perception is very important. How you perceive something is very important. So your mind can control your behavior. You know, your mind can actually what? Control your behavior. So what you think, you can actually influence your own behavior. Let's say your teacher asks you to present a paper or talk in front of the class. I'm so frightened. I don't want to teach. I don't want to talk in front of the class. You already lost. You already increase your tension 50%. But if you say, no problem, when do you want me to teach? Or when do you want me to talk? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you reach 50% already. Only 50% is to prepare what you teach, what to say in the class. You know what I'm saying? So, how you perceive influences your behavior. Let's say you are very fat and people ask you to lose weight. I don't think I can lose weight. I go for exercise every day also never lose weight. You know what I'm saying? So if you say you cannot lose weight, you will not do your exercise very well, first of all. And therefore you don't lose weight. Because you don't lose weight, you say what? Hey, I told you, I go for exercise, I cannot lose weight. So it's called self-fulfilling prophecy. Have you heard of the word self-fulfilling prophecy? What you think is how you behave. And how you behave determines what you think. It's a cycle. You know, it's a cycle. So I think, therefore I am. Have you heard of the proverb? I think, therefore I am. So you are what you think, you know. If you think you can do it, you can do it. If you think, this is motivation already. My creative teaching course became a motivation course. You know what I'm saying? But coming back to my self-perception. So if you think you're going to be creative, you already are 50% there already. Okay? So we notice that after you do the activity, let me finish this one. Okay? Attempts to gain self-actualization. This study was done by Davis. He found that self-actualization. What do you mean by self-actualization? Self-actualization comes from, Maslow's theory. Have you heard of Maslow's theory? Yeah? Hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy. The highest is what? Self-actualization. The need. We call it the hierarchy of needs. Basic needs, physiological needs, safety needs, self-esteem needs, and then comes the self-actualization need. That means what? Everybody wants to self-actualize themselves. I want to be somebody. Everybody wants to be somebody. I want to be an artist. I want to be a singer. I want to be an movie actor. You know what I mean? I want to be a millionaire. Everybody wants to be somebody, right? To what extent you achieve what you want to be? So self-actualization is to achieve what you want to be. To achieve what you want to be is called self-actualization. Have you achieved what you wanted to be? If you have achieved what you wanted to be, then you are self-actualized. Not necessarily what other people want you to be, but you want to be. I want to be a top singer. So if I become a top singer, I've actualized myself. I'm very happy. Okay? So self-actualization means people who have achieved what they want to be. Okay? So creative people are normally self-actualized. No matter what kind of problem they have, they will reach their self-actualization state. Even though they've got problems like no money, no time, no facilities, doesn't matter. They will achieve what they want to do. That's called self-actualization. So Davis' study found that only 1% of the population in the world can be considered as self-actualized people. 1% only, you know. Not everybody can become self-actualized, you know. In the whole world, there's only 1% only can, out of 100, only 1% can be considered self-actualized. And you know what? Among the 1% of the population who became self-actualized, among the 1%, 99% were creative in his study. He found that among the 1% only who became self-actualized, 99% of them were what? Creative. What does it mean? In order to be self-actualized, you must be very creative. How? Creative in what way? Creative in solving all the problems like no money, no facilities, people blocking my progress, no time. Doesn't matter. He can overcome all these problems. That's why he's creative. And that's why he became self-actualized. I am what I want to be. Self-actualization means what? I become what I wanted to be. I'm self-actualized. Either will become a singer, a painter, artist, or whatever. Okay? So, self-actualization. A lot of creative lecturers are self-actualized. Okay? And they also understand their level of creativity and how to improve that. And also constantly make changes. Remember I mentioned just now? They are not happy one, you know. Very dissatisfied. I want to improve. I want to improve. I want to improve. You know what I mean? Constantly improving. So in Japan, in Japanese we call it what? Constantly improving. Kaizen. Have you heard of, are you familiar with Japanese words? No. Kaizen. K-A-I-Z-E-N. Kaizen means what? Continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. That's why, you know, so a lot of creative people are Kaizen. Continuous improvement. And then, of course, they also, because they're passionate, they keep reading a lot in their area. So their knowledge is very wide. Okay, very wide. Therefore, they become more creative. And so on and so forth. Enhance their creative motivation. Motivation to become creative is very high. And also, as I said just now, the conducive environment. Okay, press. Press meaning, as I mentioned just now, they like to create a culture, remember I mentioned? Brainstorming and so on. Let's move on. And then collab. So, if their culture is, let's say for example, they want to become creative, they always consult with others. Because they know, when they consult with others, things become easier. You look what happens if you don't consult with others. You know, can you see this joke here? You understand this joke? This cartoon? This guy says, it is very frustrating how we supposed to discover fire with only one stick. But he didn't know that this guy did. Okay? And this guy also said, I also have the same dilemma, he said. You see? They don't realize that together they can solve the problem. Do you see what I mean or not? Okay? So creative people are always thinking of possibilities. How can I achieve? Yeah? And let's move on. Lastly, product. As I saw just now, creative, authentic products in their teaching and so on. So this is like a summary. And as we mentioned just now, creativity involves all these flexibility, fluency, originality, and elaboration. So when it comes to creative teaching, flexibility means using the activity in different ways is one example. Fluency means how the activity can be used to achieve different objectives. That's another example. Originality means coming up with unique and effective activities. Unique, every year new activities. So there's an element of originality in creative teaching, creative activity. If elaboration in activity meaning, the lecturer always adds details or level of difficulty to the activity. So very elaborative activity. So you notice that when you design your classroom, you can be add flexibility, fluency, originality, or elaboration. to make it improve, to make it more better, fun, and effective. Okay? An example. Everyday activity, we call it sometimes the small C creatively. You all used to throw away plastic sheet, after the plastic paper, the plastic bags. Most of us throw away plastic bag, right? Okay, so this guy came up with a very creative idea. You see, how can you throw all your plastic bags into unused plastic bags inside a drawer so that you can pull it one by one later? So he came up with a new idea. All the plastic, he rolled it up and put it inside here, and then he pulled from the middle. One by one will come out. Have you seen this time? Okay, so there's a video I think on this. So this one way, this is called a creative way, everyday creativity. Get students to also participate in creative things like this. Okay, so now I think it's almost time for your lunch. So, summary, what we did, we looked at each of these examples of the creative teaching model. Okay, and we have got those ideas from research at the same time, and also we looked at how, when we want to teach creatively, it is not just creating a new activity. Creative teaching means the environment must be also there. You cannot get the students to become creative, right? But you yourself not very creative. You know what I'm saying? So the person also involved. And then environment. Environment here means what flexibility and freedom are you giving your students? Get the student to choose. That is another flexibility. When you come up with assignment, you tell them, okay, everybody must do the same assignment. Or choose any one of these 5 assignments for your project. You know what I'm saying? So you give them a freedom of choice. That's also flexibility. Okay? So activities in the classroom, or freedom of choosing a method of solving a problem. Okay, let's say this now, an example. How to find the density of air? Let's say for physics. Physics. Okay, how to find the density of air here in the classroom? Everybody think of your own way. Don't follow the textbook. You know what I'm saying? Give them a problem. There's one university in Singapore. In one university in Singapore, the students go to class in the morning. Okay, the lecturer never teach. They don't teach. The lecturer says, okay, today the problem you have to solve is in this paper. Okay, everybody take this paper. Now, go and find the solution. I will see you at 4:30 today with your solution. So the students will go up to the library, wherever, to find the solution. Internet, Wi-Fi, discuss, role play, whatever, interview somebody, and then everybody meet at 4:30. Okay, present. What is your answer? To solve this problem. So when they do this kind of problem-solving learning, problem-based learning, they also learn the content. You know what I'm saying? That's what university do that in Singapore. No such thing as lecturer teaching. You have to go back and learn on your own. You got textbook, right? You read on your own. Okay? You got so many resources in the library. Going to find solution, present. Then the lecturer see it, evaluate. Okay, you must change this one. Not right. Why don't you look at it from this angle? The lecturer gives feedback. And they all learn at the same time. From other students' presentation. Oh, I never thought of it that way. You see? Different perspective. That's what they do. And then these students become independent learners. Because they never teach. The lecturer never teach. You have to learn independently. And they become very innovative. The students, when they come out, wow. Problem, no problem for them. Problem is not a problem for them. Problem is no problem. Every day got problem. The lecturer gives problem. You know what I'm saying? Problem is not a problem. See? That's how they train students to become familiar with problems. Because everyday life, they have problems. There's no such thing as a life without problems. Alright? Okay, so let's take a break. Okay? If you have any questions before the break, anybody wants to share some ideas, just feel free to ask your own experience, yeah? Problems you're facing in your own teaching, how to solve that problem. Because in real life can be something else. In real life, it's not what I'm telling you sometimes. Okay, so whatever I'm saying right now, it's good for you to see how to do that in my class like that. You know what I mean? Okay, so let's go and have something to eat. Then when you come back, maybe you have your skills. Okay? Thank you very much. We'll meet again around 1:15. 1:15, yeah. 1 hour break, yeah. I hope it was useful.